Hey guys, welcome to another Zebra tutorial. First off, as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out ADSRsounds.com. And then for this week, what we're gonna do is make a pad sound, sort of like a string sound or maybe a vocalish sound in Zebra. This is the song that I used it in. It has all sorts of pads and harmonics. And this is the sound right here. So then you can kind of get the vibe of the song. This is the sound on its own. And inside Zebra, it looks a bit complicated, but actually it's alright. I'm gonna talk you through it, so don't worry. We use all 4 lanes, but the first lane is muted. And let's just start there on the first lane, which is oscillator 3. It doesn't matter, it could also be oscillator 1. We first look at the panel of oscillator 3 and we see that it's just a plain saw wave. So the wave is just on that position, just make it look like this, very easy. And then in the effects section I use the bandworks filter. And the bandworks filter is a band pass filter on the left side and a band reject filter on the right side. And I do that because if I just play this oscillator by itself, with the band pass you can select certain harmonics that you like, and you can make it sound very vocal like. You can hear it when I sweep through it. Oh, sorry, I was mistaken. On the right side it's a band pass, on the left it's a band reject, I think. Yeah. So I set it to that position to get sort of that high harmonic vocal like sound. I detune it a little bit, 7.5, and I set an LFO on the phasing, and that is causing a little bit of the movement. You can hear it when I disable it. It gets a little bit more static. So just give a tiny amount of LFO to this phasing, and the LFO is just standard, set to 1.4, and the rate is down a little bit. And I think that's that for this first oscillator. Yeah, the width is all the way down and set to single. And then I muted this lane because I don't want the straight output. Then when we go to the second lane, I have oscillator 1 there, and this oscillator is pretty similar, it's the same wave, and also detuned with a little bit to the other side, a little bit of vibrato. It's set to two oscillator copies. The volume is quite a lot down, and I use the fractal effect there, and you can hear that. It makes it a little bit more digital. It's set to an amount of 26. with these kinds of sounds, it's all the small things that really matter, because there are a lot of very small things happening that make the final sound. Nothing is happening on this. Oh yeah, the invert is on this phase tab, which inverts the phase of the wave, and then the phase knob is set to 25. And then that one goes through a comb filter, and that's comb 1. And this one is set to split comb with the tuning minus an octave, a little bit of feedback, a little bit of damping, which is just the filter, and the input is raised a little bit, otherwise I wouldn't hear this oscillator at all. And then I mess with the tone and flavor parameters, and I set the vibrato. And we've talked a lot about this one already, so if you don't understand this module, you have to go back and check some old videos. And then that one is going through filter 2, which is over here, and that is just for mixing purposes. I wanted it to be a little bit less bright, so it's just a normal low pass a little bit down. Then we get to the third lane. So here I use the mix, and to do that you can just click here, open a mix module, and then you say where you want the inputs and the outputs from. So you right click on it, and you can select an input destination and a side chain destination, and it really doesn't matter at the mix module which one is the side chain. So now it receives the input from lane 2 and the side chain from lane 1, but they're both acting as inputs. So this one is mixing these two lanes together. Then it goes through an FM oscillator, which is over here, and it's frequency modulating by input, and I've set the FM amount to 10.5, a little bit more width, a little bit more vibrato, volume down. I push this little circle to make it more stereo. Normally it would be one circle, when you click you get two, and that's it for that one. And that goes through a filter as well, which is a high pass filter, and this is another filter for mixing purposes, because with these kinds of sounds you can easily get very resonant peaks. And I think if I disable it, this one is not that bad, but I want to get a little bit of low out of the way there. So now we've had these three lanes. All together they sound like that. And what you should notice is that here at the bottom I can select an envelope for these oscillators, and the first two lanes are going through envelope 1, and the second two lanes with envelope 3. And I gave a slightly different attack here to make the sound a little bit fuller, and again a little bit of that variation that you want. It's also having a little bit of velocity control, so that you can play harder on the keyboard and make it louder. And I set the mode to V slope, and when you set it to V slope you get this slider here, and this slider sets the curve of the attack and decay, so you can let it be more concave or convex by dragging this to left or to right. So that's that one. That's going through envelope 3 with a very long attack, sustain all the way up, and a little bit of velocity, and it has less release than the first envelope. All good. And then we go to the last lane, which is oscillator 2. And tuning there is down quite a bit, -3 octaves. In the effects page I have a scrambler and a scale effect, and the scrambler is on -2 and the scale is at 60. And these again are just for a little bit of variation. The invert is on again, so it inverts the phase of the wave, and it has 11 oscillator copies, so that makes it very wide. I can set it to single. It sounds like this, and this is 11. Makes it more stereo because I have the width up quite a bit. And that is going through filter 1, which is just a mixing filter, just a high pass. If I disable that, doesn't really change that much. It's just to make sure that I have no low messy frequencies in there. And then I have my second comb, and I raise the input here, and I set it to split dual. The feedback is up to 54, and I modulate the tone and the flavor parameter with an LFO, which is just a simple LFO2. It has a moderately fast rate, and this is not making a huge difference. It's just giving a little bit of variation. If I disable it, doesn't change that much, but it's the small details that matter. So the first one is at minus 22, and the second one I forgot, but let's set it to 24. Like that, and it is going through another filter, and this one is EQ peaking filter, and I set the gain down. So what that means is if I take an equalizer here, for example, I'm doing basically this, where I let it peak down. I want to remove a very resonant peak in there. I think you can hear that when I disable the gain. It has some tones that are a little bit too loud, so I want to take that out with this equalizer, although it looks like a filter. Like that, and then all together. And then of course everything is going through a reverb, and I panned everything a little bit left or right. You have these pan knobs here, and you can modulate that as well with an LFO, just to make it a more stereo sound. And then you have your nice pad, and it can be, you can keep it more simple than this. I want to add just lots of small details and stuff that make it a little bit special and stand out maybe. But with just this last lane you already have a very nice pad. So it's up to you what you want to do with it, and it's not a set in stone method. You can try different things. The main thing with making pads like this is that you use your filters carefully, because you want to select the right frequencies, only the ones that you want. That you use a slow attack and long release times to get that ambient sound, and that you give it a little bit of movement by using the vibrato and using the detuning, and maybe that phase modulation with the LFO. So stuff like that. And of course a reverb never hurts. And then once again in context. So that's that. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.